Well, this certainly has been a fun course learning about digital literacy and resources for guiding our students through digital literacy. It's about knowing and doing, and definitely have a lot of takeaways here. So, how would I guide my students through digital literacy? Well, for starters, I've always felt with any teaching role we have, especially with using technology, that we model the proper technology practices in order to provide consistency, guidelines, and appropriate use of technology and many resources delivered through technology. We've got to learn by doing. The students have to learn by doing as well. But if we do not set the right example, there could definitely be a problem. As far as accessing information, navigating information super high, well, we know thousands of pages are added daily to the internet. And users, first of all, they need to find a search engine that works for them. And they need to know how to compose an accurate search argument. If you look at the image on the right side, Google like a boss, to really see these few things that would help within a search, that can help the kids find the information they're looking for and drill down. In terms of managing the information, we know the internet is full of information. So they have to learn how to apply something. And, this is something we can model as teachers as we show files, what kind of management system, what kind of naming scheme are we using as we save and recall files. I like using tools such as Google Drive, Evernote, or Dropbox. As far as just storing in the cloud, Evernote being my personal favorite because of the tagging potential that is on those sites. As long as you can tag the notes, are easily searchable. Just teaching students index information like that is very key. And once the information is managed, we then need to learn how to integrate that. And again, teach them how to evaluate this information, interpret it. They have to summarize, they have to compare, and they have to contrast. And in doing so, they need to take a stand. They need to take a position on the information. And once they do so, they can evaluate. It's critical that students learn how to evaluate that information that they're finding on the web. Is this information current? Is it important? Is it adequate? Is it coming from more than one source? And really teach students how to take a look at different web suffixes, the .com versus .edu versus .net, K-12, etc. The .com obviously being commercial and so forth, but I'd always recommend the use of a website such as easywhois.com so you can find out who the owner of that website happens to be. A good example of that is the martinlutherking.org website, which is often the number one hit when running a web search for civil rights leader Martin Luther King. And little do we know that that website is actually owned and controlled by the white supremacist group Stormfront. And there's a lot of information out there that is historically inaccurate and very skewed. So it's important, again, that the students are looking at more than one resource. And along those lines, that the students are also looking at print resources as well. That's also part of digital literacy. The last two pieces, creating and communicating the information, is obviously the most fun, but students have to learn how to work in groups. They have to learn how to use the tools available to them to create information, how to author the content. And then, my recommendation is give them a rubric and let them discover on their own. For example, maybe we're doing a review on geometric shapes, and we can put the students in groups with their smartphones that have cameras and have each group snap a picture of a geometric shape that is assigned to them, and then they add that to the shared Google presentation and they describe it. And that gives the entire class a shareable document and also can serve as a study guide. Lastly, how are the students going to communicate this information? What tools are they going to use beyond the software? Are they going to be using a smartboard, a projector, USB clicker to advance slides? The implementation of Common Core should definitely make communicating the information more regular for students as they evaluate and assess things that are out there for them. But all in all, digital literacy is not only is it important, but it is critical that we model the appropriate use for students.